there's plenty of reaction to that performance from England. Disappointing, lacklustre, underwhelming, some of the sort of reports that I've seen with regards to that display. It was a little slow, shall we say, the game?
Yeah. As soon as I saw the pitch, I thought, not good. Not good for England. As you're an aggressor, because England were going to dominate possession, mainly attack Ukraine as much as they could. Ukraine were really solid, made themselves difficult to beat. Been in them type of games where teams just get bodies behind the ball, nowhere to go. Look, how can you answer Jude Bellingham? Mm-hmm. You know, if that would have been his first game, we'd be saying, not ready. Now we know he is ready. We know he's that good. He started brilliantly for Real Madrid, and we know all about his past. That was a very difficult game for him because him and obviously Maddison in the same side are trying to get in between, in spaces, find passes. There wasn't really places to go for England in the match. And the pitch didn't help. It was just a slow pitch. And as soon as I saw it, I thought, it's going to be tricky than I thought for England tonight. And Gareth alluded to it and afterwards as well about, condition of the pitch. And it's not an excuse. It's just a fact that it was always going to be hard to play on and hard to move the ball quickly. Someone said to me last night, Maguire played really well. I said, yeah, he did. But it was quite a luxury. No one's pressing you. If you're on the ball and you've got no one stopping you, but every time the ball gets to a certain area, there's bodies in front of every England player.
I do think, and I'm not going to solely put the blame on Maguire, but that goal from Zinchenko came about through, I think, poor defending from England, because if you see both the centre-backs of Maguire and Guerrier kind of drawn to the ball and forgetting there's more to think about in the box, and Zinchenko finds the space then to be able to put them ahead. I thought there was an element of rustiness to Maguire, which I suppose we can understand because he's not really played. From that lineup that you saw, and again, there are always questions raised over a lineup that might contain Maguire, that might contain Henderson, for example. Now that he is playing in Saudi Arabia, did it look like a solid? I say solid. We know what the players in there and the quality that they can bring, but as I say, with Henderson in the lineup, a lot of people always look at that as a very negative lineup. Is that fair? Well,
it was an easy excuse afterwards, and I read some of the reports this morning to say he looked like he was half a yard short, meaning alluding to he's gone to Saudi Arabia and he's not quite in the condition. I think it was really hard to zip the ball around, and some of the England players want it early. Saka, when he plays for Arsenal, he gets the ball quickly. It didn't get to him quick enough last night. Players, wide men want it. As soon as the player's on the ball, they want it to their feet. Take the goal. What did Harry Kane do? He got it out of his feet as quick as he could, and he fed to Kyle Walker. Because he was able to get a split second in a decent area to find a pass. It wasn't like that for England. It was tricky. And I look at the group and I think, look, 4 wins, 1 draw. They're 9 points in front of Italy. North Macedonia are just behind. England are fine. This is... we're watching earlier in a friendly. We're watching Germany get beat 4-1 by Japan. Okay, it's a friendly, and they're already in their own tournament, if you like, in the Euros, as being the host. I just find that I was thinking straight away Ireland versus Iceland in Dublin, when we drew 0-0 and we couldn't break them down, and we tried and we huffed and he's puffed, and we had all the headlines of it was slow and ponderous, we couldn't break them down. Then I thought of Liechtenstein, same thing, when we drew out there, probably had the worst result ever in Irish football. They done a lap of honour now after the game because they got a 0-0 draw, Liechtenstein. We threw the kitchen sink out of them, we couldn't get past them. The goalkeeper pulled off a few saves. Yeah.
So you saying the reaction is a little over the top?
Well, England are sitting brilliantly. If you're 9 points in front of Italy in a group after 5 games, you certainly ain't doing anything wrong. And England will qualify comfortably. And will they have indifferent performances along the way? Yeah, there will be one. And this was it. The Ukraine game played in a neutral venue with not a particularly great pitch. Players that have been playing really well have started the season. Saka's been superb, average last night. Maddison, been brilliant for Tottenham already this season, played average. Jude Bellingham's been sensational at Real Madrid, was average last night. So if you start going through the team, it's not an excuse, but we're questioning players who have been brilliant.
Yeah.
And they'll be brilliant again. They just weren't last night.
I mean, it's interesting you point out Italy. They have played 2 games fewer, Italy, which we've talked about already this weekend with the fact that they were involved in the Nations League finals in the summer. So that's why they've played fewer games. But from their 3 games, they've only picked up 4 points and they've only scored 4 goals.
No, they're struggling.
They really are.
They are struggling, yeah. And they've got to go to England. They've got to go to Wembley, haven't they, and play England. So, okay, they could win there, but I just think England are in a great situation, and I wouldn't have any concerns. And if I'm, like I mentioned, certain players now of where they are with their form with their clubs, and they just didn't show up. They didn't show that form last night. That to me, you got to sometimes go, do you know what? Move on to the next game. That was one of them.
Yes. Well, of course, the next game for England is a friendly with Scotland on Tuesday. So that'll be a feisty one, I'm sure, to look forward to. Their next qualification game is against Italy at Wembley. Like you pointed out, that is on the 17th of October, before they then have to finish off the campaign in November against Malta at home and then away to North Macedonia.
Now, what are you meant to do if you're the manager and you've done really well in your time as England manager, and you pick players who are absolutely on top of their form, and a number of them play just mediocre? What are you meant to do? How can you point the finger? Because you've selected. If he said, I didn't select Bellingham, I didn't select Maddison, I didn't select Saka. Okay, and England played terrible. Everyone would be saying, we didn't pick Saka, and he didn't pick Bellingham, and didn't pick.
But what is there an argument that he could be playing Phil Foden, starting Phil Foden? That is.
Yeah, Phil's not been the Phil Foden I expected to be. I think Phil Foden's one of the best players I've seen for many years, but he's not playing to the level I know he's capable of. That's why he's been in and out of the Man City team. He is a brilliant young footballer, Phil Foden, but in somewhere along the last year or so, he hasn't just guaranteed his place in the England team or in the Man City team.
Weekend Sports Breakfast with Natalie Sawyer and Tony Cascarino. Sunday mornings from 6 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.